My ex-wife ruined my credit with fraud, but I turned it into my greatest comeback Reddit story when I discovered my ex-wife had been secretly committing credit card fraud in my name. My entire life collapsed. The first red flags. I never imagined that signing a marriage certificate would also feel like signing away pieces of my own identity. When I married Claire, I thought I was starting a stable, loving life with someone who truly understood me. Instead, I was unknowingly tying myself to a storm that would one day tear through everything I valued: my credit, my family, even my peace of mind. The first warning signs weren't obvious. Claire always had a taste for expensive things: designer handbags, top-shelf wine, salon appointments that cost more than my monthly car insurance. At first, I brushed it off as her simply enjoying life. I wanted to be the kind of husband who provided, who didn't make her feel restricted. After all, I was raised to believe that a good man takes care of his wife. But slowly, those treats became patterns. Every week she'd come home with new shopping bags, receipts folded away like secrets. I'd ask her about it and she'd smile, kiss me on the cheek, and say something like, "Don't worry, babe. I got a deal." I believed her. I wanted to believe her. Then came the credit card applications. At first, I thought they were just pre-approvals in the mail, junk that everyone receives. But Claire was quick to intercept the envelopes. She'd open them, sometimes sign papers without me really paying attention. I'd ask, "What's that?" She'd wave her hand and say, "Just a store card, don't worry." I should have worried. The day I found out what she was really doing, my world tilted. I got a call from my bank about suspicious activity, multiple new accounts opened in my name, balances already being maxed out. I felt my chest tighten as the banker read off charges: jewelry stores, luxury online retailers, flights booked under my name. Thousands of dollars, already gone. When I confronted Claire, she didn't deny it. She didn't even look ashamed. Instead, she said, "I thought we were in this together. Isn't what's mine yours? What's yours mine?" That moment planted the seed of betrayal deep inside me. This wasn't just careless spending. This was fraud, committed by the person who was supposed to love me most. The spiral of lies. At first, I tried to convince myself this was salvageable. Maybe Claire didn't understand how serious credit fraud was. Maybe if we talked it through, she would realize the damage she was causing. But that conversation never came. Instead, she doubled down. I remember sitting across from her at the kitchen table, bank statements scattered like battlefield maps between us. My voice was shaking when I said, "Claire, these aren't just little mistakes. You've opened accounts in my name. That's illegal." She leaned back in her chair, arms folded, eyes cold. "Illegal? Don't be dramatic. Couples share things. I'm your wife. You should be happy I'm building a lifestyle for us." A lifestyle? That word cut deep. For me, a lifestyle meant saving for a house, planning for kids, building stability. For her, it meant shiny things she could show off on Instagram. I tried to cancel the cards, but every time I shut one down, another appeared. I tightened our budget, but she found ways around it. Secret P.O. boxes, packages sent to her friends' addresses. She even sweet-talked customer service reps into reactivating cards I'd closed, pretending to be me. I started feeling like a stranger in my own marriage. I'd go to work, terrified of what she was doing behind my back. Every phone call from a number I didn't recognize made my stomach twist. Was it another debt collector? Another fraud alert? My family started to notice something was wrong. My brother pulled me aside at a barbecue and asked why I seemed so stressed. I wanted to tell him everything, but shame glued my mouth shut. How could I admit that my own wife was stealing from me? The shame wasn't just about the money. It was about the vows I had taken, the promises I had made. I kept thinking, what kind of man can't control what's happening in his own home? But the worst part wasn't even the financial ruin. It was how easily Claire lied to me. She'd look me in the eyes, swear she was done, and then do it again. Each lie chipped away at the foundation of our marriage until there was nothing left but cracks. I should have walked away then, but I didn't. And that decision cost me more than I could have imagined. And it was only the beginning. The collapse of trust. The breaking point came one ordinary Tuesday. I was at work when I got a call from a collections agency demanding nearly $15,000 for a card I didn't even know existed. My chest burned, my palms went cold. When I asked for details, they read out my application, my social security number, my date of birth, even my old address. All correct, but the signature at the bottom wasn't mine. I drove home like a man possessed, my hands gripping the wheel so hard they hurt. When I walked through the door, Claire was lounging on the couch, scrolling through her phone like she didn't have a care in the world. I held up the letter I'd printed from my email. "What the hell is this, Claire?" I demanded. She didn't flinch. She just sighed, like I was a child throwing a tantrum. "You're overreacting again. I just needed a little extra credit. I'll pay it back." My voice cracked. "With what?" "We're drowning, Claire. Do you even hear yourself? This is fraud. You could go to jail. You could drag me down with you." And then she said something that froze me to my core. "No one's going to believe you. You think the bank or the cops will take your side over mine? I'm your wife. We share everything. If you try to pin this on me, you'll just look like a bitter husband trying to ruin his ex." The word ex hit me like a bullet. She was already thinking about the end, about walking away and leaving me to deal with the wreckage. That night, I sat in the dark after she went to bed, staring at the wall, realizing I was trapped. Trapped in a marriage built on lies. Trapped in debt I hadn't created. Trapped by the fear of what people would think if I admitted the truth. I felt powerless. But deep down, something inside me was starting to shift. A voice I'd buried for too long whispered, "You don't deserve this. Get out before she destroys you completely." I didn't know it yet, but that whisper would soon become my lifeline. The breaking point. The next few weeks felt like walking on shattered glass. Every word between us turned into an argument. Every glance was a test of loyalty. I couldn't trust her, and she knew it. She thrived on my silence, using it like a shield. One night, I came home to find a brand new designer bag on the counter. The tag was still dangling, like a trophy. My stomach churned. "Where did this come from?" I asked. She didn't even bother lying this time. "Put it on the card. Relax. You're so dramatic." That word again, dramatic. She used it to belittle me, to make me question my sanity. But deep down, I knew I wasn't crazy. The bills piling on the kitchen table were real. The debt was real. The fear gnawing at me every night was real. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay awake listening to the sound of her breathing beside me. And for the first time in my life, I felt like I was sleeping next to a stranger. Someone who didn't love me. Someone who was using me. The final straw came 2 days later. I got a call from my bank saying my checking account had been emptied. Every last cent, gone. Rent, utilities, groceries, all vanished in a single swipe. I confronted her, shaking with rage. "Did you take the money?" She looked me dead in the eye and said, "I needed it more than you. You'll figure it out. You always do." Something inside me snapped. In that moment, I realized there was nothing left to save. No marriage, no trust, no future. Only destruction. I told her to leave. She laughed, thinking it was another bluff. But when I changed the locks the next day and filed for divorce, the laughter stopped. She unleashed hell on me after that. Calls, threats, crocodile tears. But the damage was done. The marriage was dead, and so was the man who let himself believe her lies for so long. The fallout. Filing for divorce was supposed to bring relief, but instead, it opened a new battlefield. Claire wasn't just going to walk away quietly. No, she weaponized every trick in the book. She drained what little savings I had left, maxed out every card she'd ever opened in my name, and even showed up at my workplace to cause scenes, screaming, crying, begging, accusing me of abuse in front of my colleagues. I started getting letters from creditors I'd never heard of, accounts I'd never signed for. My credit score plummeted so fast it felt like watching my life burn in slow motion. Buying a car, renting an apartment, even applying for a new bank account. All of it became impossible. I tried going to the police with the paperwork, the forged applications, the statements. The officer glanced at the documents and sighed. "You'll need to fight this out in civil court. It's messy when it's a spouse. Hard to prove intent." I wanted to scream. Messy? She'd stolen my identity, my money, my stability, and the system treated it like a lover's quarrel. The nights were the worst. Alone in my half-empty apartment, surrounded by overdue bills and notices, I wondered if maybe she was right. Maybe no one would ever believe me. Maybe I was destined to carry the weight of her crimes forever. But then, something shifted. I realized that if I didn't fight, I'd lose more than just money. I'd lose myself. So I started documenting everything. Every receipt, every statement, every text message where she slipped up. I contacted every creditor, every agency, and began the slow, grueling process of proving what she'd done. It was exhausting. It broke me down piece by piece. But in that wreckage, I also found something I thought I'd lost long ago: resilience. For the first time in years, I wasn't just reacting to her chaos. I was taking control. The reckoning. The court hearings felt like stepping into a theater where everyone wore masks. Claire sat across from me, dressed in modest clothes she never would have touched when we were together, her eyes brimming with crocodile tears. She played the victim flawlessly. "He abandoned me," she told the judge, her voice quivering. "He left me with nothing, so I had no choice but to use the cards." I clenched my fists under the table. Nothing. She'd siphoned thousands from me. She'd left me with rent overdue and creditors hounding me. But her lies were sweet poison, and the courtroom seemed eager to sip from her cup. My lawyer leaned in, whispering, "Stay calm. We'll get her with the evidence." And we did, one by one. He presented the statements, the forged signatures, the text messages where she bragged about using his name like an ATM. Watching her face crack under the weight of her own words was a grim satisfaction I'll never forget. The judge wasn't easily fooled after that. Claire's mask slipped, and in its place came the venom. She shouted, accused me of manipulating the evidence, even tried to storm out of the room. The bailiff had to calm her down. In the end, the court ruled in my favor. The debt she racked up in my name was declared fraud. She was ordered to pay restitution, though everyone knew she didn't have the means. The bigger victory was clearing my record, my credit, my name. But justice came at a cost. The months of fighting had left scars on me, financial, emotional, even physical. I'd lost weight, aged years in what felt like weeks. I was free, but freedom had come wrapped in ashes. As I walked out of that courthouse, papers in hand, I realized something profound. I didn't just win against her. I won against the version of myself that allowed her to control me for so long. And that, more than any legal ruling, was the real reckoning. Rebuilding. After the dust settled, I was left with silence. No more constant calls from creditors, no more court dates looming over my head. Just me, my empty apartment, and the chance to rebuild. At first, I didn't know how. My trust in people was shattered, my finances in ruins, and every time my phone buzzed, my chest tightened with leftover panic. But slowly, step by step, I began piecing myself back together. I picked up extra shifts, cut down to bare essentials, and poured every spare dollar into clawing my way out of the hole she'd left me in. It wasn't glamorous, it was survival. But every bill paid, every balance cleared, felt like reclaiming a piece of my stolen life. Therapy helped too. I had to face the ugly truth. I'd ignored the red flags, clung to a toxic love, and allowed myself to be used. The therapist didn't shame me. She reminded me that recognizing the pattern was the first step in breaking it. I started journaling, documenting not just the pain but the progress. Looking back, I saw how far I'd come. From being a man suffocating under someone else's crimes, to someone finally steering his own life. One night, as I sat on my balcony, staring at the city lights, a thought struck me. Claire didn't win. She tried to destroy me, but I was still here. Stronger, wiser, unbroken. The scars remain, yes. My credit will take years to fully recover, and trust doesn't come easy anymore. But those scars are proof that I survived. And if surviving her means I can live the rest of my life free from manipulation, free from lies, free from the endless cycle of her chaos, then maybe all of this was the price I had to pay to finally know peace. So here I am, starting over. Not as the man she tried to break, but as the man she could never keep down. And that, I think, is the truest revenge of all.